Say goodbye to loneliness by ditching these 7 toxic social habits today. We all crave genuine connections, meaningful relationships, and a vibrant social life. But often we unknowingly push away the very people we seek to attract. Our social habits, formed over years of interaction, can sometimes become our own worst enemy. But here's the good news. Once we recognize these habits for the foes they are, we can start to change them. You're about to embark on a journey of self-discovery as we count down from the 7th to the number 1 toxic social habit. By watching this video to the end, you'll gain insights that could transform your social life. We've put in hours of research to bring you this valuable content. So buckle up and prepare to become a more likable person who attracts genuine friendships and maintains quality relationships. Stick around to discover the number 1 toxic habit that could be pushing people away from you. Starting with toxic habit number 7, negativity. Imagine this scenario. You're at a social gathering and there's this one person who can't seem to find a silver lining in anything. Whether it's the weather, the food, or even the decor, they find something negative to say about it all. This person, my friends, is a constant negative Nancy. Negativity can be a subtle drain on relationships. It's like a slow leak in a tire. At first, it doesn't seem to make a huge difference. But over time, it becomes apparent that the tire is flat. That's how negativity works. It can quietly and slowly deflate the energy and joy in a relationship or a social group. Here's another scenario. Picture 2 friends. One is a radiant beacon of positivity and the other is a cloud of negativity. Who would you rather spend time with? Most of us would gravitate towards the positive person because they uplift us, make us feel good, and generally contribute to a happier environment. Now, we're not saying you should be Pollyanna positive all the time. After all, we're human, and it's normal to feel down sometimes. But if your default setting is to see the glass as half empty, it might be time to reassess. How can you break free from this habit? It starts with awareness. Recognize when you're in a cycle of negative thoughts and consciously make an effort to shift your perspective. Try to find the good in every situation. Even in the most challenging circumstances, there's usually a lesson to be learned or a silver lining to be found. Another strategy is to surround yourself with positive influences. As the old saying goes, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If you're constantly around negativity, it's going to rub off on you. Lastly, practice gratitude. It's a powerful tool that can shift your mindset from focusing on what's wrong to appreciating what's right. Remember, a positive attitude attracts positive relationships. So, ditch the negativity and embrace a brighter outlook. Your social life will thank you for it. Moving on to toxic habit number 6, lack of listening skills. Imagine this. You're pouring your heart out to a friend, sharing your deepest fears and dreams, only to realize they're more interested in their phone than your story. It feels pretty awful, right? That's because we all crave to be heard, to be understood, and when someone doesn't listen, it sends a clear message. I don't value you or your thoughts. Listening is far more than just a passive activity. It's a form of respect. It's saying, I value your perspective and want to understand you better. It's through listening that we build deeper, more meaningful connections. However, the art of listening is often lost in our fast-paced, distraction-filled world. We're often so focused on what we want to say next that we forget to truly hear what the other person is saying. This lack of listening can lead to misunderstandings, hurt feelings, and damaged relationships. Consider this scenario. Your partner comes home from work, visibly upset. Instead of listening to their concerns, you immediately jump in with solutions or start sharing your own stressful day. This lack of listening can make your partner feel unheard and unvalued, straining your relationship. But don't worry, improving your listening skills is not as daunting as it may seem. Start with the simple act of staying present. Put away distractions like your phone and give the speaker your full attention. Show that you're engaged by nodding, maintaining eye contact, and offering relevant responses. Next, practice active listening. This involves not just hearing the words, but understanding the emotions and intentions behind them. It's about empathizing with the speaker, asking thoughtful questions, and offering feedback that shows you're truly engaged in the conversation. Lastly, resist the urge to interrupt or jump in with solutions unless asked for. Sometimes people just need a sympathetic ear, not a problem solver. Remember, good listening is about understanding, not just waiting for your turn to speak. It's about making the other person feel valued, heard, and respected. Listen more, talk less, and watch your relationships bloom. Let's talk about toxic habit number 5, being overly competitive. Competition is a natural part of life. It's what drives us to improve, to achieve, to strive for greatness. But like any good thing, too much of it can turn sour. When competition becomes more about winning and less about growing, that's when it becomes a problem. Being overly competitive is a toxic habit that can leave you feeling isolated and friendless. Imagine this. You're at a casual game night with friends playing a lighthearted game of Monopoly. As the game progresses, one player, let's call him Joe, becomes more and more intense. He's not just playing to have fun, he's playing to win. And he's willing to do whatever it takes to ensure victory, even if it means ruining the night for everyone else. Joe's overly competitive behavior turns what should have been a fun evening into a tense, uncomfortable ordeal. His friends start to feel alienated and they may think twice before inviting Joe to the next game night. Now, this is not to say that competition is bad. On the contrary, a healthy competitive spirit can be a powerful motivator. The key is to strike a balance. To compete, not to dominate or crush others, but to challenge yourself and others to be better. Here are a few tips to help you cultivate a healthier competitive spirit. Firstly, remember that it's just a game, or a project, or a job, or whatever the arena of competition may be. Winning should not be the be-all and end-all. The real value lies in the learning and growth that comes from the experience. Secondly, be a gracious winner and a gracious loser. Celebrate your victories but don't gloat, and if you lose, don't sulk or throw a fit. Instead, congratulate the winner and learn from your loss. Lastly, don't let your desire to win overshadow the importance of relationships. People matter more than victories, so don't sacrifice your friendships on the altar of competition. In the end, remember this: winning at all costs could cost you your friendships. Let's strive to compete, not to defeat, but to grow, to learn, and to build stronger relationships. Toxic habit number 4, being judgmental. The judgmental mind is like a moth to a flame. It's drawn to the flaws, the imperfections, and the mistakes of others. But this habit, my friends, is a social repellent. It builds walls between you and the people around you, and it can quickly turn an engaging conversation into a one-sided critique. Let's imagine for a moment you're at a party, and you meet someone new. They're wearing an unusual outfit, and instead of getting to know them, you're fixated on their fashion choice. You're judging, and guess what? People can sense that. They can feel the walls going up, and they're likely to retreat. Now picture this, you're in the same situation, but instead of judging, you're curious. You're interested in why they chose that outfit. You're seeking to understand, not to judge. The walls come down, and a connection is made. See the difference? But how do we break free from this habit? Well, it starts with self-awareness. Catch yourself in the act. When you find yourself making a snap judgment, pause. Ask yourself, why am I thinking this way? Is it fair? Is it helpful? If it's not, let it go. Replace judgment with curiosity and empathy. Second, practice acceptance. Accept that people are different, with unique perspectives, experiences, and tastes. Remember the saying, don't judge a book by its cover? Well, it applies to people too. Each person is a rich tapestry of stories, experiences, and emotions. Don't let your judgments rob you of the chance to discover that richness. Lastly, remind yourself that no one is perfect, not even you. We all have our quirks and flaws. It's what makes us human, so the next time you're tempted to judge, remember your own imperfections. Be gentle with others as you would want them to be with you. Accept people as they are, not as you want them to be. Toxic habit number 3, dominating conversations. Picture this, you're at a social gathering and there's that one person who just doesn't seem to understand the concept of a two-way conversation. They're constantly interjecting, over-explaining, and barely pausing for breath, let alone giving anyone else a chance to speak. This person, my friends, is a conversation dominator. Now, it's important to understand that dominating a conversation isn't always intentional. Some people might simply be enthusiastic or passionate about a topic. However, the result is the same. Others feel unheard, unimportant, and eventually they may even start avoiding interactions with this person. Let's dive into an example. Consider a book club meeting. Everyone has read the same book and is eager to share their thoughts. But instead, one member takes center stage, dissecting every chapter and character in minute detail. The others get bored, frustrated, and feel like their opinions don't matter. Over time, they may even stop attending the book club. So how can we avoid falling into this toxic habit? The key is awareness and active listening. Pay attention to the flow of the conversation. Are you the only one talking? Are others trying to jump in but you're not giving them a chance? Here's a tip. Try the 2-minute rule. Limit your speaking time to 2 minutes per turn. This gives others the opportunity to contribute and keeps the conversation balanced. And remember, it's okay to pause. Silence isn't a void needing to be filled, it's a space for others to step in. Another tip is to ask open-ended questions. Instead of dominating with your thoughts, ask others for their opinions. What did you think about the book? Or how did you interpret that scene? Are great conversation starters. Ultimately, the best conversations are those where everyone feels heard, valued, and engaged. They're not a monologue, but a symphony of diverse thoughts and ideas. A conversation is a two-way street, not a solo performance. And now, toxic habit number 2, not respecting boundaries. Boundaries, those invisible lines that we draw around our personal space, time, and emotions. There are personal, no trespassing signs, and yet they are often overlooked or downright ignored in social interactions. Imagine this, you're at a social gathering, and a friend starts sharing your personal stories without your consent. Or someone keeps texting you late at night, even though you've mentioned you prefer not to be disturbed after a certain hour. These are classic examples of not respecting boundaries. When we disregard someone's boundaries, we're essentially saying, your comfort, your personal space, your feelings, they don't matter to me as much as what I want. It's like walking into someone's house with muddy shoes, not caring about the mess you're making. Now you may wonder, how do I respect boundaries if I don't know what they are? Great question. The first step is to understand that everyone has different boundaries, and that's okay. What's comfortable for you might not be for someone else. The key is communication. If you're unsure, ask. It's far better to ask a potentially awkward question than to overstep a boundary and damage a relationship. And when someone shares their boundaries with you, listen, respect, and remember. Also remember that boundaries can change. Just because someone was okay with something in the past doesn't mean they will always be. So keep the lines of communication open and check in regularly. But what if you're on the receiving end? How do you handle someone who doesn't respect your boundaries? Be assertive, politely but firmly, let them know where your boundaries lie. It can feel uncomfortable, but it's crucial for maintaining healthy relationships. In the end, it's all about respect. Respecting boundaries means respecting the person. It's about understanding and acknowledging that everyone has the right to their personal space, feelings, and comfort. So the next time you're in a social situation, remember to be mindful of those invisible lines, because respect for boundaries is the cornerstone of healthy relationships. Finally, the worst of all habits, number 1, lack of empathy. Imagine this. You're sharing a rough day you've had with a friend, hoping for a comforting ear, but all you get is a dismissive shrug and a change of topic. That sting you feel, that's the pain of encountering a lack of empathy. Empathy, the ability to understand and share the feelings of others, is the glue that binds human relationships. It's the soothing balm that heals wounds and the bridge that connects hearts. Without it, relationships crumble into a pile of misunderstandings and resentment. Let's ponder over an anecdote. Picture 2 friends, Alice and Bob. Alice is going through a tough time, struggling with personal issues. She reaches out to Bob, seeking solace and understanding. However, Bob, lacking empathy, dismisses her feelings, making Alice feel even worse. This situation strains their friendship, creating a rift that could have been avoided with a little empathy. In contrast, imagine a different scenario where Bob listens to Alice, understanding her feelings and offering comfort. The result? A stronger bond, a deeper friendship, and a comforting presence in a time of need. That's the power of empathy. So how do we cultivate this essential trait? It might sound cliché, but the first step is to listen, truly listen. Not just to respond, but to understand. Step into their shoes, see the world from their perspective, feel their joy, their pain, their hopes, and their fears as if they were your own. Next, validate their feelings. Even if you can't fully comprehend what they're going through, let them know that their feelings are valid and that it's okay to feel the way they do. And finally, communicate your understanding. Let them know that they're not alone, that you're there with them, sharing their emotional journey. Remember, empathy isn't about fixing problems, it's about understanding them. It's not about offering solutions, but about offering a shoulder to lean on. So, let us strive to be more empathetic, to feel more deeply, to connect more authentically. For it's empathy that turns a group of individuals into a community, strangers into friends, and a gathering into a family. Empathy connects souls, lack of it disconnects them. We've journeyed through the 7 toxic social habits that could be pushing people away from you. We started with the burden of negativity, then moved on to the importance of honing your listening skills. We highlighted the pitfalls of being overly competitive and the damage caused by judgmental attitudes. We also looked at how dominating conversations and not respecting boundaries can sabotage your social life. Lastly, we emphasized the crucial role of empathy in building and maintaining strong relationships. Imagine the transformation when you ditch these habits. A world where you're not just part of the crowd, but a vibrant, appreciated part of it. A life filled with genuine friendships and quality relationships, all because you took the time to understand and change these 7 toxic habits. So, let's make a toast to a more likable you. Don't forget to click on our next video on your screen. Like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends to help them improve their social skills too.